Hello, everyone. We are joined today by, I did say it before, I'm going to say it again, one of my favorite people.
Oh,
And
Mel.
one of my
Mel.
favorite people is called Jessie Mac.
Hi, everyone.
She's she's one of my favorite people for many reasons. One is you're amazing on many levels, and you're just a very kind and generous human, and very wise. As I said, if there's ever a question in this world that I need answers to, I know there's Jessie that I can ask. You give yourself and your time with passion and selflessness to the community, and I think you deserve a spot for celebration because you create the spaces that our community crave. And you create them in many ways. You create them by way of events. You create them by way of production and creative circles. And you create them by way of immortalizing it in docuseries and films. So you're just a multifaceted person with a kind heart and a beautiful mind and very fucking talented, and the fucking will not be cut from this because it's gonna be bolded.
Emphasized.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really humbled and grateful that you're here, and I would like everyone to know more about you. So tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into music, and what drives you as an artist, but also as a businesswoman.
Yeah, it's like a story of two parts, really. So I transitioned last year, and was it last year? It feels like it was forever ago, but it was only last year. And after I transitioned, I had the opportunity to have some more time to myself, living by myself again, and and then got back into my passion, which was music. But as I said, it's a story of two halves. So my love of music has been a lifelong pursuit. Back in, I'm going to show my age here. Back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I think we're there, both of us.
Yeah, we're both there. Back in the early 2000s, back in Australia, which is where I grew up, I got into raving culture. And so we'd go out and, rave away the weekends, and just really loved electronic music. It just lit a fire for me and a passion. And I got the opportunity to get into DJing around 2005 when a friend of mine, they, for whatever reason, I don't know why, they just, decided that they were going to give up DJing. And they were like a really good vinyl DJ. And they had so much vinyl, but they decided they were going to sell their decks and their 2-channel mixer that they had. And I put my hand up very quickly and said, please, I will buy them.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I started out on vinyl, and then very quickly when Traktor came out, I swapped over to digital DJing because it was infinitely cheaper. Yeah. I don't know if you remember this when that first came out, and the opportunity to spend a $1 or $2 for a track versus $20 for a vinyl
for a couple of tracks. Yeah. Oh, not to mention the weight of it all. Yeah. So as I find myself, whenever I go to a gig and I bring my vinyl, my back hurts. I still do it, but yes, digital tracks. Yeah. Hallelujah.
Yeah. And so I'd say that's the first part around starting DJing. And when I came to London, I made friends with a fellow Australian, and we both just did bedroom DJing for many years together and really enjoyed it. I only played out once. I played at Fire. If you remember.
I know Fire. Is that Vauxhall?
Vauxhall, yeah. I know. So that was my sole claim to fame, playing that in 2012. And then when I came back post-transition to music, what it was originally about finding community. And I'd gone and explored the queer community. And as often happens, when you go to queer things, the only thing you have in common with a lot of the people is the fact that you're queer. So you're so trying to find those people that you click with can be just an exhausting endeavor. And then a queer friend at the time just forwarded me this Insta post about Queer Open Decks, which is hosted monthly at Superstore. And I thought, I'll go along to that. And I went along to it, and it just my eyes just lit up because, suddenly there were these people who shared my passion for music, shared my passion for DJing, and were also queer. Oh my God, 3
Yes.
things. Oh, how much better is
Bonus.
that? Yeah. So I started doing that, and then I found garage music, and I hadn't this is ridiculous, right? Like, I've lived in this country for almost 14 years, and until last year had not come across garage music. How is this possible?
I'm not one to judge. I have not. I've only discovered garage because of you.
Yeah.
Because what you play is amazing. I've always been into more like electro techno type of scene. So you kind of got me into garage.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the fusion of a lot of my musical roots. So, musical roots in breakbeat, in drum and bass, in other forms of like melodic music, where it all comes together really beautifully in that UK sound. And when I came across it, I'm like, oh my God, this is my musical home. And when I sort of looked around, there wasn't any real like queer garage nights. And so I just thought to myself, I should just put one on. And that was the start of me running events.
But also, I find, and you would know this better than me, but historically, garage I feel, has always been owned by the heteronormative side of the society. Has it not?
Sorry,
tell me the story, please.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to pretend to like be like like an historical wonk, or to know it inside out. But all my queer friends tell me that garage actually came from the queer scene. Yeah, originally, but it also has big roots in sound system culture. So there's a combination in terms of, it came from like, Caribbean sound system culture. In terms of its creation, there was also a big underground music queer scene element of it as well.
Tell me more. So see, my ignorance about garage, because I know more about the roots of techno, but also, I find that whenever I come to your events, Mothership, and let's get to your projects as well. But when I played at your event, but when I joined your event, I felt like there was such a culture around the music, and people really first of all, they really vibed with your set, because I think you're an amazing artist and selector, and I told you that before. I think your selection skills are out of this world. But people come together around this genre, but also around the community and the idea of, coming, sharing the love, like you say, sharing the love for music, sharing the love for queerness, and connecting at that level. And I have to say, I really relate to what you're telling me, because when I discovered that I could actually DJ, and that there's such a community around electronic music, and then the queer community around electronic music, I find heartwarming and welcoming, and one of the reasons why I started this podcast, really. So, but anyway, it's not about me. So tell me and tell us about your projects.
Oh, how long have you got? How long is the podcast?
As long as you want. I don't care if it's 8 hours. Let's go.
Yeah, so I've got a few things on. So the thing that you were talking about is Mothership, which is a club night, and it was originally designed as an over-the-top celebration of queerness. I actually I had where it came from was last year there was the inaugural Trans History Week.
Okay.
And I got involved as a volunteer, and I co-curated their poetry event at the end of the week. And I had the opportunity to meet Bella Barton, and we co-curated it together, and working with them was such a joy that I said to them at the end of that I'd really like to do something together so we can, continue this, what is a beautiful working relationship so far. And they were really up for it. And so we organised some time after my first garage event, and sat down and went, well, what do we want to do? They come from a music and performance background, and they'd been throwing nights which were like drag performances and queer comedy stuff. And I came from an underground music background. And, I'd said to them, I just really want to do something super queer. And so we thought about combining these two things, so performance and DJing.
Genius.
And also to make it themed, because
Yes.
what is anything more than a queer celebration, but something that's over the top opportunity to dress up in whatever crazy way you want.
It literally doesn't get any more queer than that.
Exactly. So that's what Mothership is, and it's kind of funny when you put on a night and you sort of try and craft an identity. It all sort of like, it's something that you do in partnership with the people who come to it. And you never quite know what that's going to be when you start something new. And I've started a few new things like this over the last year. And when that came together for Mothership, I just almost couldn't believe it, because it was people who, came together. It was wholesome, even though it was a club night. People loved the performances, but they stayed for the club night. Nobody was like getting fucked up. They were just enjoying themselves. And when you looked around the room, it was just smiles on everybody who was on the dance floor, or everybody who was watching a performance. And you could just see the joy beaming out from people.
That's the perfect description. Sorry if I'm interrupting your flow, but this is the perfect description of what I experienced when I went to Mothership. Most people were sober, and it's I could tell that people were happy to experience this and not necessarily get fucked off their face. And I understand that there's a purging element to it, so there's no judgment to how people want to party at all. I could see that people were very much connected and felt safe and felt that they could be who they are, dance how they want to, enjoy the music and the space exactly how they want to. And I could see that there was that respect for the shared space, which is beautiful, and is something that we should not take for granted, because it's not everywhere. In fact, it's quite rare.
Yeah, and so we've held 2 Motherships now, and both times it was that vibe, and I just feel kind of blessed to have helped bring that to people. But it does bring up an interesting point around sustainability of queer nights. Queer nights in particular have crowds that either don't drink, or for whatever reasons, are doing drugs. But they're just like crowds that fundamentally don't spend a lot at the bar, which does make it hard to put these nights on. So I don't have an answer for this, but it's just one of those things that does mean that, like, I think there's a perception out there maybe not in the queer community, but certainly broader, that there's a lot of money to be made in queer nightlife, but there isn't. And in fact, a lot of what we do is like a service for the community rather than money-making schemes.
I do think you're bang on the money, so to speak, with what you just said, and I think any kind of assumption or perception of it being a money-making machine should be shattered and set aside, and it brings me back to the point of, you're really creating those platforms out of passion.
Yes.
Because it's
because we want to create that space, right? We want to
Exactly.
provide that opportunity for our community to come together and celebrate and be themselves.
Whether you break even or not.
Whether we break even or not, yeah. I think over the last year, I probably paid more money into queer people having a good time than actually made money.
I believe that. That's why I have so much respect and admiration for the tenacity and the passion that you put into this, because it takes someone who's resilient and full of love to do it.
Yes.
It's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone. And it's just really funny. Like, I enjoy DJing, and I do enjoy DJing to a crowd. But I think I actually, even though there's a lot of stress, I think I probably enjoy running events more.
You're a creator of spaces. You're an enabler.
Yes, there's also something really magical about something that's an idea, just a twinkling in your mind, that wouldn't exist in this world except for you having brought it out, manifested it, so to speak.
That's beautifully said. That takes me to the creative circle that you're doing for producers.
Yes. So one of the other things that I do is I would describe it as a producer demo session. We call it the producer circle. Kind of like, circle, is the terminology because everybody's equal. Nobody's above anybody else. It's a community, and Producer Circle is essentially a demo session for electronic music producers. They can come and demo their works in progress and then get creative feedback. And it's moderated by myself and Yasmina. And the idea is that we set the rules for that feedback. So it's delivered with kindness. That's number one important thing. It's specific and actionable. So we're not asking you to, talk about things that you don't like in a track, but that nobody can do anything about. It's got to be something that, is immediately actionable. The person who gives the feedback may not know exactly how that should be actioned, but it's a point of something that could be, tweaked or adjusted. And the idea is that people get modeled how to give that kind of feedback, because it's not something that you immediately know how to do. And so people will then build the muscle around how it should be done. And then we sort of give the community an opportunity to do that themselves in terms of providing that feedback. And the really important thing as an artist as well is that people who are receiving the feedback, they can feel free to take on that feedback, or they can feel free to put it aside if it doesn't match their artistic vision. But the really important part is that, just hearing that feedback can make you think differently about your work that, hours of just sitting at the computer won't give you.
But it also feels like a safe space where people give the feedback in a way that's constructive and helpful, and then it's up to the artist to then take it away as they see fit. So it doesn't. I'm putting my Romanian pupil hat on, where you're at school and you're like, no, this is wrong, write it all over again. It doesn't create a safe space for producing creative stuff. So I really appreciate that kind of space, because it brings out, it makes it even more creative, I would say, and that's definitely a space that I personally would thrive in, because I enjoy feeling safe.
Do you know, it's one of my favorite things to do. We actually get the space at Matter of Time Studios for free, which is really nice. It's a free event, so there's no barrier to anybody coming and participating in it. And it's always been just beautiful vibes, inclusive, accessible for everybody, except for the fact that the venue is not accessible, but shh. Shh. And some beautiful things have come out of it. I know that there's a couple of collabs that wouldn't have happened without that as well. And there's also some people who, haven't believed how good they are, but for the encouragement that and championing that they've received, from ourselves and other people in the room.
Which again is so powerful in itself, because sometimes I feel artists, no matter in which type of art they prefer to express themselves or do, there's a level of self-criticism to the point where it can become quite crippling.
Quite limiting.
And having that kind of space to reflect and understand, I'm actually quite good at what I'm doing. It's actually a great, I've produced something that's pretty good. That's powerful, I find.
So this probably brings me on a nice segue onto me as a scene mother.
Oh yes.
So so I do find myself throughout the endeavours that I've had, whether it's running a club night, whether it's running the producer circle, whether it's just meeting queer people, you do come across creatives or even non-creatives who just need that mothering, who need you to be their cheerleader. And I'm happy to do that. I don't know if you know, I think you probably do. Do you know Elle Bennett?
No.
Kitsch? DJ Kitsch?
No.
Oh, you should check her out.
Okay, I will.
She produces and she DJs, but it's bass music, it's garage.
I like bass music. I do like it. You taught me. You
should check her out.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, so she does productions, and I've encouraged her and championed her and put her on my nights. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so my key takeaway is, you are not my mother. Sorry, Mom. And but no, I can see that. I can see that, and because I was saying, people come to you for advice. I come to you for advice, and even though you've started being in the scene fairly recently, you've made a really big impact, and people know you. And you also have the underground promoters group,
I do.
which is so good, and I actually use it all the time. Let's do it.
Yeah. So one of the other things, when I first started running my own nights, I like crazily spiraled out to getting to know promoters who are putting on these really cool underground nights. And I'd speak to one promoter and I'd be like, oh, such and such is doing something similar, or, blah, blah, blah. Have you checked out such and such's night? And like without fail, they would say, oh, yeah, no, I don't know them, even though they might be putting them on in the same venue. And I'm like, oh, you know what? We should all just talk to each other. And so I created this group with the idea that it could be something where we could lift each other up. So rather than viewing ourselves as in competition with other promoters, think about ourselves as being able to support each other. And when there's more for everybody, so when there's more for each of us, then there's more for everybody.
Beautiful. It's so aligned with what I'm trying to do with female energy as well. It's all about leveling the playing field, providing opportunities, and not being in competition with each other. Like, there's so much of this in this world, and it's so unnecessary.
It's unnecessary. And actually, I've seen the beauty of this little group has been, just the in knowledge, the in-scene knowledge around promotion is incredible. Like, if you don't know, how do you find the venues? How do you talk to venues? How do you run nights? How do you do artist liaison work? How do you work with booking agents? How do you book international acts? Any number of these things, if you've never done them before or don't know somebody who's done it before, you wouldn't have a clue. And so this group has provided support around those quite, in-scene topics. And I've seen people, take really really good use of that group. And now there's like 215 people in the group.
Yeah. It's even tripled. I think there were 30 people when I joined, and that was a few months ago. Yeah. It's so good. And I've learned so much. Even I actually read. I'm in a lot of groups, but this is the one group that I take time to read, and because I find it most informative, but also very respectful. And we've created that.
Not that we haven't had some robust conversations around various topics.
Well, there's the odd drama. What can you do?
I know. I know there's some people who oh look, let me get the popcorn.
I certainly was one of them. I was like, oh, hold on, what's going on here? Let me put my phone on the stand. I'm gonna have my dinner. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. I want to talk to you about your other projects, but I also want to ask you questions about your experience as a Flinta artist and also as a Flinta promoter. So I'm struggling because I have so many questions.
Go for it.
And I don't know what to start with. So maybe let's finish on the projects front and talk about what you have in the pipeline.
Yeah. So on the 21st of March, I have coming up my Queer Bass Night Counterculture.
Yes.
Very much looking forward to that. I do it with Afan and Benny, and they're amazing people to work with. It's just cool underground queer bass vibes.
Oof.
Yeah, so think a more mature population of club goers. Yeah, bassy heaven.
When is that?
21st of March.
Okay.
You should come.
I will be. My crutch and I will be there.
Yeah, you'll be there.
Sorry, crutch and not crutch. Let's move on from that.
Okay. And then the last thing that I'm doing, I'm currently launching a documentary series on underground communities.
Yes. Tell us more about that. I'm a big fan of TV and TV series. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yes, I have. Yes, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
The equipment tells me. Yeah.
Oh man! If only I knew anything about it. But we have a beautiful team who does it.
Yeah.
Tell me about the docuseries.
So, as I explored club nights and other forms of community over the last year, I've gotten to see how people are seeking community. When you think about how disconnected we are in this age, how our life is intermediated by technology, people often lack that connection with other people. And so people seek it. And they seek it in underground music communities. They seek it in creative communities. They seek it in queer communities. And I've had the opportunity to see those up front and personal by creating and also being part of those communities myself in the last year. And there's something really beautiful around the way that it brings that connection to people, and the way that it also gives them an opportunity to take risks and feel safe, and take opportunities that they wouldn't take in other settings. So I want to explore those narratives, and I want to explore them also from the eyes of the people who create the communities. So, they can tell us in their words what's the origin story of their communities, and then how has it grown and evolved over that time, and also to hear a little bit about them, about why they created it. So I've seen as well, because I know quite a few people who've created various things, and I've seen that, when you create, whether it's a night, whether it's a community, whether it's whatever it is, you create it because you want that yourself. You create the space that you want.
Yes.
And oftentimes, the very act of creating it puts you outside of the community because you're the person who runs it. You're the leader of the community. So the thing that you want most, you often can't partake in because people hold you above the community. And the relationships that you might form might be parasocial relationships instead. So I want to talk about, whether people feel that the creation of the community has actually benefited them or not, or whether it's something that ultimately is a lonely pursuit as a community maker.
I was going to say, that could it become lonely, or could it feel lonely? And I think it could.
It could. And you often find that the people that community makers make the strongest connections with are other community makers. Yeah, because they understand.
Here we are.
Indeed.
Beautiful.
So we're gonna do like a short form series, and we'll visit a community with each episode, and it's going to be queer communities, it's going to be underground music, and it's going to be kink communities.
So moving on from that, I think that's beautiful. I'm so excited. And when can we see it, and where, or we don't know yet?
Don't know yet. It's going to be in production. I think around the middle of the year. We might be shopping it around to some film festivals, but we'll see. Yeah.
I'm excited. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Please
and
do.
We'll make sure we'll get all your socials and everything at the end to make sure people follow you and learn more about it. But I am so much looking forward to it. I feel it's needed, and I think it's going to be a work of art. Just knowing you and what you do, it's going to be nothing short of beauty and perfection. I would be really keen, because I know we've talked about it throughout our friendship, but I would really like our viewers and our community to learn more about your experience as a Flinta artist and promoter. How did you find yourself emerging in the space? And perhaps more importantly, what would be the areas which you would like to see more progress on versus what's to be celebrated?
So I've got a really unusual view because, like a lot of people, especially DJs, Flinta DJs, and DJs in general, but Flinta DJs in particular, when you're starting out, how do you get started? You have to do the grind with promoters. You have to find a promoter who likes your sound or wants to take an opportunity, like take a risk on you. And that can be quite hard. And maybe you have to play some parties where they're not your vibe, it's not your crowd, it's not your music. And I didn't take that route when I was first starting to play. I just was. This was the dialogue in my head. I'm like, I want to play out. I want to play garage first of all. I want it to be queer. And I didn't want to do the grind. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll just run my own night.
Easy. You went straight to the solution. You saved yourself years and years.
Exactly. So I didn't have to put myself on. Didn't have to find somebody to put me on a lineup. I just it's my night, so I'm going to play.
That's genius. And you've done a great night. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah. And so when I did that, but what I tried to do was then support Flinta artists, right? Like all my nights have been queer. And so what I want to do is celebrate and hold those artists up and give them opportunities. And I see it in a lot of really good Flinta DJs that there's a couple of things. They don't they don't believe in themselves the same way that you see a lot of cis men believing in themselves. So they don't put themselves forward for opportunities. Like they don't ask. They don't say, "Can I have that?"
Yes.
They wait for people to offer it to them.
Yes.
And that means oftentimes never get anything. So I would say my advice to Flinter DJs in particular is to believe that opportunity's for you just as much as anybody else. But it's about cultivating relationships. Having run a bunch of nights myself, if I think about how I curate my nights, I think about vibe, I think about music, and I think about person. And I think the person is the most important part. And when you can get locked into just like booking people that which is a trap as a promoter, but it's a good place to start. But if you're somebody who doesn't know a promoter, but thinks I'd like to play at a particular night, the number one thing you can do is go to that night. Not with the intention of playing at it. Go with that night with the intention of being part of the audience, of enjoying the night. If it's a night that you want to dance at, it's going to be a night you want to play at, right? So be there, be creating the vibe, chat to people, bring the party yourself as an individual, and then make sure you have a chat with the promoter.
Yeah.
They'll definitely have seen that you're having a good time at their party. And then you can be like, oh, look, I DJ and this is actually matches my vibe. Can I send you a set? Would that be cool? Because I really loved your night. It was such a, like getting feedback on nights as a promoter, you love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a really important point that you touched on. I think sometimes this can become transactional.
Oh, completely.
And what I find the least inspiring, and I'll be honest here, is if I'm running a night and someone comes specifically to us to play, not necessarily because they're vibing with the night or not knowing even what the concept is about, but can I play? And whilst I really respect the hustle, I do. I think the safest way to do it is to actually build a meaningful, authentic relationship with the event.
Yes.
I love the night, like Vass's night that I wanted to see Carla.
So good, right?
So your event, but because people are invested in it. Same with the podcast. So I feel very lucky to have already started to build a community, which is amazing, and I celebrate you all. What I really appreciate is people who actually engage with the content. People I see time and time again commenting, wanting to be part of a group, wanting to keep the conversation going and help us lift each other up. That's what will make me to invite that person on the podcast or on the radio takeovers that I do or on the events that I do, because I can see that they're meaningfully connecting with the platform and what I'm trying to do, versus getting DMs, hey, do you need DJ for the next one? No, because I don't really know you.
You know what? It's lazy.
Yeah.
It's super lazy, and like you say, it's treating it transactionally. It's not authentic engagement.
I agree.
Yeah.
So yes, sorry, I interrupted your flow, but I thought I know.
So I would say, like, how I'd sum that up is give more than you take and you'll receive.
Beautiful. I'm gonna cut a reel on that. I'm gonna put it all over Instagram. That's a good quote. Thank you for that.
I have lots of them.
Well, I know you do. Like my social media person, I'm like, I'm gonna cut this reel now because what she said is epic. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for your wisdom once more. Now that we're talking about some advice that you'd give DJs and artists from like a promoter's perspective, what advice would you give promoters, people who are just starting to put out nights and maybe they haven't been through pitfalls and stuff to learn, they're just starting off?
Oh God, there's so much.
Where do you start?
Where do you start? I think my first thing I would say is keep an eye on lineup diversity. Number one, really important, and not enough people keep that in mind or keep that front and center. And people, like, I know people often say, oh, like I've seen instances where people take one slot on a lineup and then run a competition so they can fill their diversity, and it feels a bit tokenistic. Why should there have to be a competition to have diversity.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you do it in a way that's not tokenistic? And it's by flipping how you view it from, I've got to have, somebody from a diverse background on my lineup, to saying, how do I provide equity and opportunity to those people with diverse backgrounds?
Nice.
Yeah. So then when you have that mindset, then you're reaching for, I give this person an opportunity. And, I know people who are from non-diverse backgrounds will be like, but won't they feel like I'm just giving them this opportunity because they are from a diverse background? And the answer is they get less opportunities than you.
True.
So how do we improve that for them? And that's by giving them more. And that's by giving them opportunities because they're from a diverse background. That's how we make it equitable.
Nice.
And so when you approach it like that, you keep an eye on that. And so I think a lot of promoters, especially when you're really early starting out, and I've done that myself, fill the lineup with the friends and people you know who DJ, because they want to DJ at your night and you needed to fill some slots and you don't know that many DJs.
Yeah.
And then you look back on it and go, there's no diversity. And you're like, do I have to tell somebody that can they play the next one?
I honestly, that's so true. Because on the one hand, it makes you feel safe because you know them and you know they're gonna do a good job, and they're your friends. Exactly, they're gonna be reliable.
They might do it for free.
Yes, they might do it for free. So there are many factors. Yeah. But you're right. You're right. There's something I look at as well when I curate the podcast is I don't want to see mini MELs or maxi MELs, whatever, reflection of me. I want to see the widest possible spectrum of expression across the Flinter and the queer community and the allies. And that's what I try to curate on a month-to-month basis. Yep. And this is a message to people who apply to be on it. The fact that I haven't responded yet, or the fact that we haven't connected, or there's no spaces, because I take good care in curating to make sure there's enough visibility and diversity throughout. Mm-hmm. So we will connect. It just takes time to be able to curate that kind of expression of the full length of diversity of the Flinter community. Mm-hmm.
So there's more advice if you want it.
Please do. I honestly, it's Mother Jessie.
I would say keep it if you start with free events, keep an eye on what that means for whether you can pay your performers, because oftentimes you might get a bar split, you might not. It makes it really difficult to pay your performers if you're running free events. Mm-hmm. So think about what the transition is towards paid events or just running cheaper paid events. But there's difficulties in running paid events as well, because you'll have venue hire fees, you'll have bar minimums you've got to hit. So there's a transitional point, and I would say for people who start out running free, it's fine to run it free to start with. But think about when you do that transition, it will make your night more sustainable, especially in terms of being able to invest and support in your talent.
That's again an important topic, because I see it two ways. I've seen it cases where there's quite a lot of abuse in that space, whereby you will see established party brands that still don't pay their artists, even though they actually make a profit, even if small. Yeah. But I equally on the maybe the other side of the coin, I see emerging events, and they would rather have smaller cap, or maybe compromise on the type of venue or when they run it to be able to pay their artists. And I think you're absolutely right. As a promoter, consider this and consider supporting your artists that you're employing, essentially. Yeah.
And lastly, and I'll give you one more point.
Please do.
And then we can move on. Lastly, I would say to those who are not running queer parties, that it's worth taking a leaf out of Queer Party's book in terms of how they approach creating safer spaces, whether that's welfare or access. So being able to provide a space, because no space can ever be totally safe, but do things like, front and center in your party manifesto or party rules, call out no harassment of any type. like there's really no place in any night for any type of harassment.
Totally.
And then the next thing is to have a trained team, whether that's the people who are doing the promotion or whether you get people in externally, like Safe Only, for instance, who can then look out for the people during your night. It's so important. People can have issues for many different reasons, and the way that you create that party that people want to come back to is by creating those spaces.
I mean, I could talk to you about this for 2 days and we'll just get hungry and dehydrated, but I would be, mentally, I would be happy. Exactly. Hello. I would say in the previous episode, LJ Shellings, who was my guest, was an ally. That was the first point that he made. That's the point number one that he does for his nights. He said, harassment-free, safe nights, number one. And number two, he said representation, making sure that people who come to the party feel represented by the artist. They feel seen or viewed by.
It's so important. On one of my Mothership nights, I had one of the people who is, one of my friends and is a person of colour, say it was so good to see a performer who was a person of colour, and it made exactly that. It made them feel they were represented as an audience member.
Totally. And even as an aspiring DJ, like I did say this before, I come from Bucharest, Romania. Even nowadays, if you look at the electronic music scene, it's still male dominated, and I never considered being a DJ, and then I never really thought about why. But I'll tell you this: when I first saw the first female DJ, I was 17 or 18. I was in a club. Miss Kitten was playing, and for me it was a revelation. And I still listen to her tunes because they remind me of that time where I saw this incredible female artist who was doing vocals and playing synths and doing all of this technically sophisticated but like beautiful music. And I thought, you know what, I could do it. It only took me 15 years to actually do it, but in my head that seed was planted. That is not just for the boys.
No, you see somebody who is like you, and like they're doing something, you're like, oh, I could do that too.
Exactly.
It's so important.
It is, and it brings it back to your point about creating equitable and sustainable diversity. Sorry, I could chat to you for like 2 more days.
No, just on that point, there is one thing that I am going to do, and it's all just under my hat.
What you gonna do?
This is creating a grassroots diversity charter for promoters.
What?
Yeah. I want to get to the point where promoters are signing up to particular diversity minimums. They're also signing up to publishing retrospective aggregate diversity stats on lineups.
I'm so excited about this. When is it happening?
It's just a twinkle in my eye, but now that I've actually said something, that means I'll do something.
But the thing is, what I was telling you just before I started filming was you have passion and you're creative and you have ideas, but you you also get it done.
Yes.
So I can't wait to see when that happens, because that will create a movement. Create a movement.
I hope so. And there's already been some great improvements in this area. What do you call it? Jaguar Bingham, one of my heroes, queer, female, person of colour, just representing for all of those communities and pushing the agenda forward, especially around diversity and inclusion. And so she has, I think they're called inclusion riders, which basically means that she won't play. She actually requires promoters to sign up to this inclusion rider or diversity rider, and she won't play in a lineup where they don't have specific minimums in terms of diversity. I
didn't know that, and Jaguar is one of my inspirations. I met her, and probably you did too, at Boudica.
Yes.
I went to talk to her and say that I have so much admiration for her work, as well as Samantha Togney. But both Samantha Togney and Jaguar, they're both my idols, to be honest.
Yes. And so what she's also been doing is it's not just her, like anybody can use these inclusion riders.
Yes.
And she's been actually promoting it with big DJs that they do the same thing, because change will only come with pressure from the top. And those big DJs who are the headline acts, when it comes from them, promoters have to listen.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, because there's such a big divide between what happens at, let's say, at the underground level, as opposed to the mainstream level.
Indeed.
Anyway, we are going to run out of time. Before I ask you to share your socials and where people can see you, is there anything that you want to leave our audience with? Any final key message or anything that comes to mind?
I think it's probably just that, if there's one thing that you take away from today, it's that you can see yourself doing any of these things that you've heard about. Believe that you can do it. Believe that you can put yourself out there and, do these things that maybe you didn't believe were possible for you. When you see examples of people doing them, hopefully that gives you encouragement to do it yourself.
You are an inspiration for me, and I'm grateful to have had your time and wisdom here. I'm honestly so grateful, and I genuinely, it sounds probably corny, but I genuinely feel blessed. Now, what are your socials? Where can people find you?
The main landing page is my own Insta. That's I am Jessie Mac. That's IAMJESSYMAC on Instagram. That's like the landing zone, and you can find all my other things. There's also Mothership, which is Mothership_LDN. And that's, again, another great spot to find my things that I'm doing.
Brilliant. Jessie, thank you for your time. I cannot wait for your set. I feel like dancing. I can't wait for people to see this because, I'm excited. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hail Mary, drop it down. Come up from underground. It hits you in the face. Enjoy that aftertaste. And if you want it now, let's see you make it bounce. Let me see your hips up on my bass, bitch. like an egg. Check the game, I keep it real. I keep it sexy. I'll go back on the phone, they address me. Do all of that typing, but never once did I get pressed. It's fuck me, it's bitches obsessed. If it's fuck me, then we have a sex. If I pop back, then they go. Bitch, your turn up. These bitches only hot on. Yeah, bitches doing all that bitch, your time up. Why is you not clocking that? Doing shit for TikTok. Bitch, I'm really hip hop. They all know my shit hot. Ain't listen, can your shit drop? All my diamonds dancing. I ain't need to make no TikTok. Bitch, your time up. Yeah, bitch, your time up. Yeah, bitch, your time up. Yeah, bitch, your time up. Yeah. Day hair long, running home. I ain't up for hours. I don't want no minute man. Fuck me for some hours. Ayy, chains wet. I'm in love with money showers. Ayy, do. I love the sound of money counters. Oh, I'm a player, not a savior. Niggas in purchase, I got every flavor. Take a picture, I post for the haters. Show 'em my ass, I could go to the detainer. From the back, guitar from Texas. Yellow diamonds in my necklace. Just crossed another hour off the checklist. Thanking these rap bitches, yes, I'm petty. She do what I tell 'em. I do what I wanna do. How they fucking talking, but let's see who really make a move. Post a picture, bitches call me mother. Now who's son and pop back, then they go. Bitch, your time up. These bitches only hot on. Yeah, bitches doing all that womp. Why is you not clocking that? Doing shit for TikTok. Bitch, I'm really hip hop. They all know my shit hot. Ain't listen, can your shit drop? All my diamonds dancing. I ain't need to make no TikTok. Bitch, your time up.
Life sucks and I never tried suicide. Mine's fucked even more than I realise. Time's up, keep it moving, will she arise? If you've ever heard what I heard in my mind, never try, you would cry, that's a lie, you would die. I don't wanna ever come down from a high, I am in the best seats. From time in the next breed, if you come and me directly. Don't need no one to defend me. Souls in a place even I can't get to. Don't fuck with the deadly. Moon waves and overseas, quick coasting overseas. Fuck those who don't believe. They will never wanna admit I'm the best here from the mere fact that I've got ovaries. It's a woman's world, so to speak. Better. Trees, save lives, invade minds, and go deep. OP, rooting against them, so chill. Part of the day in the life you won't see. Part of the day in the life you can't be here for. It's the day in the life of OGs. Dealing with in the demons, I won't leave. Not a word you will listen when my soul speaks. It's a mystery rage, not a little rage. Can't figure out, I'm going insane. Ain't no doubt, we show no mercy. So think twice if you wanna get paid. Nothing ain't nice right here, no games. I don't wanna dart nobody in a flash. True, this is up, hands in the air, put the money in the bag. All cash, all cash.
While some boy come on here just go dance on the beat, them a watch how we have blood clots spend. Them a watch how we have drink. While some boy come on here just go dance on the beat, them a watch how we have blood clots spend. Them a watch how we have drink. Them a watch how we have drink. Them a watch how we have blood clots spend.
Yeah, just to me.
exclusive.
Exclusive.
Yes.
Yeah, exclusive convert. I love that.
exclusive
Yes.
convert.
Yeah.
Jessie, thank you so much. That was a beautiful set. I was wobbling in the background. Everyone was dancing. It was epic.
Oh, such a pleasure.
Thank
I really
you.
enjoyed it.
And thank you for being here. A reminder to everyone of what your socials are.
I am Jessie Mac. IAMJESSYMAC on Insta. That's the main one. That's all they really need.
Yes. Thank you, Jessie. I'm full of energy now. I need to
Yeah.
go hit the gym
Yeah.
with my crutch.
Yeah, gym or dancing, either one. Maybe both. Maybe dance at the gym. That's the thing. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, darling.
Oh.
We got
It's a wrap.
Thank you. I need to do a reel now.